All right, now before we talk about the conventional change logs, I would like to talk about Git hooks. Git has a concept of hooks, which are very basic scripts. In fact, if I go into .git, and you're going to see that there's a directory called hooks, and it has a bunch of example scripts in there. So these are the ones that you can essentially intercept some life cycles of a commit, for example. For example, you can use a pre-commit hook, right? So this is going to be a script that is going to be executed every time, right before you commit. Well, you're going to type in commit, but then before the actual commit is going to happen, it's going to run your script. And all of these scripts, they're designed to verify some stuff. And so essentially, if your script returns a 0, then the commit will actually succeed. If it returns a 1, the commit will be aborted. There are two kinds of hooks. Some of them, most of them actually live on the client. And in fact, they actually live only in your copy, right? There's no built-in way to synchronize or share these hooks between your teammates. There are other fancy tools like this, to do this. For example, one of them very popular in the front-end world is called Husky. But if you don't want to like dive too much into the front-end world, what you can do is you can actually move this directory into your actual repository and then simply ask your teammates to symlink it. Some of the hooks actually run on the server. For example, the one where before the server accepts a push, it can run a couple of linters and then deny the push, right? But not all hosting solutions allow you to simply run arbitrary code on their infrastructure. Like for example, in GitHub, I believe it's not possible. It might be possible these days with GitHub Actions, but I haven't played with it yet, so I have no idea. Now, as already mentioned, commit linting is probably something that belongs on the CI, right? So it's something that belongs to your server. But you can actually also build it into your local hooks so that linting happens every time you commit. Some people even go a bit crazy with it and they actually build Commitizen into the pre-commits. Most of the time, I wouldn't recommend this because if you use it a couple of times, like literally if you use it for a couple of days, you're gonna get used to it. It's literally like topic, colon, space, your message. Like most of the time, this is what you need. There's like 9 topics, and most of the time it's a feature fix or a docs. Sometimes it's a refactor, sometimes it's a chore, but that's it. It's like 9 of them. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're simply going to create a commit hook, which is going to be the commit message hook, right? Where is it? This one. Okay, so we're going to echo some stuff into commit hyphen message, right? We're not echoing into this file. This is just a sample. We're echoing in this file. Please don't have any extensions. If you have like something like .sh or something, it's not going to work out. Okay, so all we're going to have over here is we're going to say, please echo something into Commitlint. Okay, you need to have Commitlint installed. Okay, so what are we going to echo in there? Well, the result of the contents of the file that is going to be passed as the first parameter to commit message, right? So when Git calls your scripts, it passes in a couple of parameters, and in the first parameter in this $1 is going to be the path to the file which contains your commit message. Okay, so we simply cat into this file, we're piping the result into Commitlint, and there we go. Okay, we need to not forget to make it executable. Okay, commit message like this. So now it becomes green and it's over here. Let's check it out. There we go. This is how it looks like. One tiny line. All right, so go back up 3 times. So we're now in the repo and we're going to add some more stuff into the file like this. Okay, so I have an alias gcam, right? I've overwritten it, so it's GAA, which adds all the files and then commits, right? And so now if I do something that we did before, if I do gcam, I'm going to say add export button, it's going to automatically run through the Commitlint and it's going to tell me, hey, it's not conventional. Okay, it's not going to be like, oh yeah, I forgot feature. That's what I meant. And now it's going to let me through. Very, very convenient. As a reminder, most hooks are designed for verifying stuff. You can obviously do whatever you want. It's your scripts. But most of them are designed to verify stuff. And so there is a way to turn off this verification. So for example, even more stuff. We're going to pipe it into file, and then we're going to gcam whatever, right? Like usually it's not going to allow it to, but you can do gcam hyphen no verify, and it will simply turn that hook off. Okay, so this is what we have now. So it allowed us to do whatever. And as a reminder, I have introduced many aliases to you that mostly come from ZSH. This is also the reason why this Git work in progress one contains this no verify flag, so that these ones can go through your through your hooks. So if you do echo I don't know, some garbage. I'm literally running out of ideas over here, right? And you can do just gwip, and the Commitlint is gonna let you through. Okay, glog. There we go. Again, some people go too far with this and they add Commitizen in there, but you know, really, like, use it a couple of times and you're gonna get used to it. In fact, there's also a VS Code extension, which I have somewhere. I prepared a bunch of things over here. No, 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 no. Oh, this is Husky, by the way, the one that I mentioned, that can synchronize the hooks between your teammates. This is the extension, you know, Visual Studio Code Commitizen support. So essentially, you're gonna run Control-Shift-P, and then you're gonna run commit or something like this, and then it's gonna use this menu, this teeny tiny menu bar in VS Code to prompt you for all of these things. Yeah, I really don't recommend that you use anything like this. I mean, use it for a couple of times and then you know all of them. By the way, one of the slightly less obvious benefits of using conventional commits in the first place is that it encourages you to split your commits and use more granular commit messages. For instance, if you're developing a feature, but you also refactor something, right? When you're gonna commit it, sure, you can use a feature or you can use a chore, but you can also split your commit and say, okay, this is the you know, the refactoring that I did, and this is the actual feature that I added. All right, let's finally talk about conventional changelog generation. The first tool that we're going to play with is actually not going to be the one that we're going to use, because all it does, it generates a changelog. And if you think about it, generating a changelog is something that will happen on CI. You're never going to run it locally. And so just generating is kind of not enough. So a bit later, we're going to use another tool which is built on top of this tool. And what it will do is it will generate the changelog, it will commit it, and it will also tag the commit. I have it open somewhere, probably here, yeah, the conventional changelog CLI, right? So if you want, you can install it like this globally or not. And after this, you run something like this. Okay, so if this is the first time you're doing, you're choosing the format essentially, you know, which is the default is the one that comes from Angular. You know, you name the file, you say that this is your first one. So this is the first one that you're doing. If you're doing like the other ones, you're actually not doing any of that. But again, in general, don't actually worry about this because we're going to use a different tool called standard version. In fact, let's actually go and install it. It's part of my script as well, right? So it's just called standard version like this. Okay, let me actually go back so that I can show it to you. Over here, standard version. That's exactly this one line that that we just did. Okay, so if we go over here now, it should finish in just a couple of seconds because we already have most of the internet locally. Okay, so if I do glol, then we're going to see all of this stuff, and now I'm going to say standard version. Standard version, like this. Okay, so as you can see, it created a changelog. It outputted the changes to the changelog MD. It committed the changelog. It tagged the release as 2.00, and it also gives you an advice. You could push all of these tags. Okay, so if we do glol, then we're going to see that now we have an extra commit. It's been tagged. It's a chore, was a release, version 2.0.0, and now there is a changelog in there, which looks like this. In fact, there's a cool tool called Glow. If we go to install Glow, it's a tool that can render markdown files in your terminal. Usually you wouldn't care, but I like CLI tools, so we're just gonna grab it real quick and paste it over here. All right, just a couple of seconds, and there we go. And now we can glow the changelog, and there we go. So this is the rendered changelog. As you can see, it's sort of it goes through your entire history. It figures out like which ones are, you know, fit the conventional changelog message. I'm sorry, the conventional commit message, and then it groups them, right? So it figured, okay, there's like two features: add export button, which is, you know, this one user analytics, add new feature, blah blah. This one, it closes this one. These are the features. These are the breaking changes. And it figures out the version based on your commit messages, right? Because if it says that you broke, if you have breaking changes, then it's going to increase from 1.0 to 2.0, right? It's the first time that we did it, so it assumed that, you know, we're starting at 1.0.0. In fact, I believe the convention is to start with 0.10. All right, so let's play with this. So we're going to say this fixes a bug into a file, and then we're going to gcam, and we're going to say fix update report. Okay, and now we're gonna run standard. Come on, what are you doing? Standard version. I would probably alias this. Well, actually, I probably wouldn't alias it because you never run this locally. You would run this only on CI. Okay, run standard version. GLOL. As you can see, it figured out that it's a bug fix, right? So the only thing that is in there is a bug fix, and so it just increased this one. So we can glow the changelog. As you can see, before it was 200, then there was a bug fix. Now it's 201. Okay, and we can also do a new feature. Echo new feature, and we're going to do file. Let's for a change to go run through the Commitizen. So we're going to say this is a feature. I don't know, reports. Add new feature for reports. Reports. I don't care. Don't breaking changes. Yes. Let's say yes. We broke stuff. We broke stuff. There we go. I said we broke stuff. Whatever. Open issues, no. Okay, and there we go. Standard version. Standard version. All right, GLOL, break and change. Therefore, we have 300. Bat, changelog. I'm sorry, that sucks. Let's do glow, changelog. Much prettier. Break and change. There's a new feature for reports. You know, ta-da. Now, one thing to note is that we're doing everything on master, but in a real project, as I have shown you many times, you would branch off into a topic branch, and then you would have a couple of commits, and then they would be merged into the master. Some teams have a convention of squashing your commits when they're being brought into the main branch. If you do this, your change logs are going to suffer a little bit, right? They're going to lose the information, but you know, you do you. All right, now I'm sure that you get the idea. One of the cool things of standard version is that it has a couple of hooks itself. For example, one of the things is that it can bump custom files for you, right? So in this particular case, what we're going to do is we're going to have an example where we're going to have a file which will contain the version. And so every time we run through standard version, we're going to do all of the things that just happened, but also it will go into our custom file and it will change the version in there. If you remember in the couple of previous videos, well, actually in the previous video, we actually cloned my Scala seed repository, right? So now we're actually going to use a tool that will create a Scala project based on that template. So I'm going to do this. G8 dev inside you Scala seed. I don't believe that we need G8, right? So just like this, G8 dev inside you Scala seed. Okay, so now we're going to call it playground. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so this is a real Scala project. Okay, so we're gonna actually open it with Visual Studio Code. All right, now if you're not a Scala developer, the mostly used build tool in the Scala ecosystem is called ASBT, and the way you configure it is sure, we can import the build, I don't really care. The way you configure it is that you have a bunch of files that have an extension of .sbt, and it's sort of a convention to specify the version of your project in a special extra file called version.sbt, right? So this is how it looks like. This build/version colon equals the version, blah, blah, blah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some configuration for the standard version. We're going to add a script that would, the standard version would call for us, and then it would update this every time we are running standard version. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a file over here. We're going to call it .versionrc.json. Okay, like this, and inside of it I'm actually going to copy this from my script, right? It's going to say, this is just JSON, right? It says, okay, this is a list of the so-called bump files. In our case, what we're bumping is the version. Okay, it's a file name called version.spt, which is over here, and this is going to be our script, right? So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to create this script over here. Right, so this is going to be our script. So this script, well, it's a JavaScript script. Again, most of these things comes from the front-end world. And so what we're going to have over here is we're going to say module.exports read version. Okay, so this is going to be a function that will read the version from this file. Okay, so some contents from the file is going to come in, right? The contents is going to be, maybe I should have something like this. Okay, so this is the contents of the file. All right, we actually don't need the minimap, we actually need more space. Okay, so this is going to be the contents. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do contents dot match right? So we're going to match on some regular expressions. This is how you denote regular expressions. After this, we're going to get out the groups, right? And in JavaScript, you can actually name the groups, and we're going to name the group version. So we're going to be able to get out the version, okay? So over here, we're going to say, please match whatever is between the quotes, right? So this is what we want to match, right? Everything else we don't really care about. We need that thing that is between the quotes, okay? So between the quotes, we're going to have a group, okay? We're going to have dot star, just like freaking match everything. And there is a way to assign a name to this group, which is like this, okay? Actually, we need to surround it with angular brackets like this, okay? This way we will be able to get it out like this. Okay, so this is the first part of the script, and now we're going to have a part that writes it. Okay, so we're going to have module.exports, and we're going to say write version. Okay, this is going to be a function that will get the contents again, but we're actually not going to use the contents, right? You could, you know, if it's JSON or something, you want to replace it. We actually don't need. We're going to just dump an entirely new string into this file. Okay, so we're going to have the version. So this is the one that you know, that standard version will calculate and give it to us, right? It's not the one that comes from here. It's the one that is being calculated. Okay. All right, so we're going to grab this, and we're going to have string interpolation over here, and we're going to basically, I'm going to copy this thing. I'm just going to put it in, and let's not forget \n, okay? And now over here, instead of this one, I'm just going to say $, and version, right? Which is this variable over here, right? So we're using the version, okay? So it's just going to dump this entire thing with a new version into this file. All right, so now we can go and play with it. So let's go, and we can actually close this one. We can do something like this. We can run the terminal over here. So we can do something like ginit, gcam initial commit. And as a reminder, gcam is just an alias that just like dumps everything into this commit. Okay, so now we're going to run standard version. Okay, so no, actually don't show me this again. Okay, so in this case we can actually see the changelog, and VS Code has a markdown render. It's not super awesome, but you know, it's okay. So it's gonna look like this. This is our changelog. This is 101. I don't know why it decided to do 101. Probably because, oh yeah, it already happened, by the way. It already went and changed to 1.0.1. I believe standard version starts with 1.0.0, and then right now I just figured out that that the initial commit that we used, hold on, glol, the message that we used was just initial commit. Okay, and by the way, I believe there is an exception in the conventional commits format that you can just, you know, for the initial commit, you can just say initial commit. You don't have to say that it's a chore or whatever, right? And so it assumed that we start with 1.0.0, and so it just figured out that, okay, there are no breaking changes, there are no new features, so I guess it just incremented this one. Let's actually go and I don't know, change some stuff. Maybe open it over here, main like this. So let's, for example, change hello world to hi. And we're going to go over here, and we're just going to say a gcam, and we're going to say that it's a feature and it's a main. And by the way, this initial commit, it actually went through our linter, right? Okay, so we have feature main change hi world to hello world, like this. Okay, so now we can run standard version, okay, like this. And as you can see, it went over here, change it to 1.1.0. It's over there. You can actually, you would be able to click on it, you know, it would run into like /compare. So on GitHub, it would actually work. As you can see, it passes in the range between, you know, between the tags, right? Because there are tags now, right, between the versions, right? So this is the range that would be diffed. What else I want to show you is that you can overwrite the version. So for example, let's go back to hello world. Okay, so if I do again, and now we're gonna say changed hello world to hi. In fact, whatever I said before was completely wrong, right? So in fact, right now we're changing hi to hello world. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so we're doing this now. Okay, and now we can do standard version. Okay, but now we can say release as major, right? Oh, this is actually a bad example, because in this particular case I used feature as you know, as as a major version. Oh no, hold on, it's major, minor, patch, right? So minor is this one, right? So this one is called major, this one is called minor, this one is called patch. So a feature would usually increase the minor as it did before, right? We went from 1.01 to 1.10. Now we're seeing major, so it should go to 2.0.0, right? So we're overriding its calculation with this. Okay, so it went straight to 2.0.0. As you can see, we have it over there, and you can also completely override the version and set something custom. So change hello world to hi, okay, and then we can run a standard version, but now instead of major we can specify whatever we want, 4.5.6, okay, and it's just gonna put 4.5.6 in there, and there it is, it's over there. Again, as you can see, the rendering is kind of weird. Like, I don't know why this is so big and this is so small. Oh yeah, this is why. I have no idea why it actually used this. I'm not sure why it sometimes uses. Maybe because it's a bug fix, so it used like a sub thing, right? And over here it used a bigger heading. Yeah, probably because of this. All right, now this is pretty much everything that I wanted to show you today. Allow me to drop some words of wisdom before I go. First of all, I showed you a lot of really cool tools in this video, or in fact, in this entire series. But remember, a fool with a tool is still a fool. None of this stuff works if not everybody of your team understands exactly when they broke the API or not, right? So a lot of these things are based, or they assume, they require discipline. So as a reminder, a fool with a tool is still a fool, which is why I have an entire playlist with tooling, and it's actually called like this: a fool with a tool is still a fool. Secondly, I would like to stress the importance of conventions again, because in our industry seems to be slightly more prone to bike shading than the others. In fact, I'm gonna go out on a limb and claim the following: a bad convention is good to have if it is followed by everyone. Or in other words, a bad convention that is followed by everyone is a good convention. Now, onto a slightly less dramatic note, if you enjoyed this series, consider watching my video about the GitHub CLI. And also, I should probably mention that I'm not planning to create any GitHub courses anytime soon. So yeah, sorry. As already mentioned in the previous video, if you still have some gaps in your Git knowledge, I highly recommend for you to check out the Git Pro book, which is on gitscm.com. It's a free book. Click over here, read online for free. I'm not sponsored by them in any way. They cover everything, like from installing Git to very advanced topic, advanced searching, Git tools, like a bunch of stuff. As already mentioned in the previous video, I actually reread this entire book before I started recording this series. Both versions of this book are free. Also, allow me to remind you that my .files are public. They might actually be open over here, so adjust.dotfiles. There's some stuff about Git over here, my git config, and there's some, my git ignore, which is over here. And yeah, so feel free to steal some stuff. It's all there for you. Cool. So there are only a couple of things left to do. So we need to go into github.com/git from 0 to hero. And in fact, we didn't need to do this. You need to go to your organizations, and we're gonna go into settings, and we're gonna go into delete this organization. As I told you in the very first video, it is very easy to create organizations and also to delete them, which is why I encourage you to follow along with me. So now I feel obligated to show you how to remove repositories. Organizations. And also one last thing, let's go to settings. Where is it? Am I blind? Settings, appearances, and I can finally go back to dark, because apparently once you go black, you never go back. Jokes aside, I hope you enjoyed this entire slightly long series, and as always, it's me, Vlad, devinside.com. Don't forget to like this video if you did, subscribe if you want to improve the developer inside you, and if you learned something today or through this entire series, consider support me on GitHub sponsors or Patreon, whatever you prefer, and just watch my videos weeks and sometimes even months before everyone else, and most importantly, take care.